In this podcast episode, Ryan Garcia shares deep insights into his boxing career, mental and physical challenges, and personal experiences. The conversation explores the nature of flow states in sports, the sacrifices involved in becoming a world-class athlete, the complexities of boxing politics, and the struggle with anger and emotional turmoil. Ryan delves into his approach to training and nutrition, the pressures of legacy and family expectations, his battles with mental health, and his evolving relationship with faith and self-awareness. The episode also touches on broader topics such as the nature of performance memory, conspiracy theories, and reflections on peers like Conor McGregor and Jake Paul. Ryan discusses how when he's inside the boxing ring, he doesn't consciously think, but rather reacts instinctively to momentum shifts and opponent cues. He describes a blend of intuition, instincts, and mental mantras that keep him focused without overthinking. This mental state, while optimal for peak performance, paradoxically robs him of the ability to remember many moments from fights. He recalls pivotal moments in some bouts, but often needs to watch the footage to fully grasp what happened. This phenomenon resonates beyond boxing, as performers in music, comedy, and sports often enter flow states where they excel, but retain little direct memory. Ryan started boxing at age 7, and by 15 or 16 was homeschooled to dedicate more time to the sport. While he does not regret missing a traditional childhood, he acknowledges that having some adolescent experiences might have spared him from certain mistakes in his 20s, especially related to fame and money. He reflects on the intense commitment required, including hundreds of amateur fights, constant training, and road work from a young age. The community and camaraderie at tournaments were some of his limited childhood pleasures. Like many athletes, he views sacrifice as inherent in achieving greatness. Boxing runs in Ryan's family, with his father and uncle involved in the sport at various levels. His uncle, who reached the nationals, believed Ryan was the prodigy destined to succeed. This history created both inspiration and the weight of expectation. Ryan admits he still feels pressure, but channels this by dedicating achievements, like his first world title, to his family. Over time, his relationship with boxing evolved from pure love of the sport to a spiritually guided journey, helping him follow an inner calling and make sense of his path. Ryan opens up about one of the darkest periods in his life, marked by personal crises, including custody battles, his mother's cancer diagnosis, and a divorce. Overwhelmed, he turned to alcohol and self-sabotaging behaviors, actively making things worse. Despite knocking out an opponent during this low phase, it was a humbling wake-up call. Fueled by anger and feelings of disrespect within the boxing community, he embraced a bad guy persona to match the negative perceptions aimed at him. While some of his outspoken behavior was controversial, it also drew attention to serious issues like child sex trafficking, ultimately leading him to support activism efforts. Ryan recounts a vivid vision he had post-fight in 2021 involving cryptic images of a beast, a bridge, and shadowy gatherings in the woods near San Francisco, which led him to research places like Bohemian Grove and expose conspiratorial narratives around elite secret meetings. While acknowledging parts might sound unbelievable, he finds some claims about elite gatherings and rituals compelling. The discussion broadens to the challenges of disclosing hidden truths in the digital era where information leaks and citizen journalism disrupt long-held secrets. Ryan explains that in boxing, a certain level of aggression is necessary to maintain sharpness and killer instinct, but unchecked anger or rage is detrimental as it blinds a fighter to incoming dangers and strategy. He differentiates between controlled aggression, which enhances performance, and rage, which narrows perception and leads to mistakes. There is a balance to find between calmness and aggression. The conversation expands to include reflections on fighters like Nicky Rod, who embody a calm, samurai-like focus, but still harness intense competitive energy, illustrating different approaches to mental preparation. The discussion explores the notoriously complex and fragmented world of boxing, where politics, promoters, and financial splits often prevent the most anticipated fights from materializing. Ryan talks about the difficulties in arranging high-profile matches, such as making a fight with Conor McGregor happen under the mandatory rules and tangled negotiations. He expresses frustration as a fan, but remains optimistic. Comparisons with organizations like UFC and One Championship emphasize boxing's cumbersome systems and excessive traditions. Ryan advocates for modernization without losing the sport's heritage and spectacle. Ryan shares his thoughts on figures like Conor McGregor, admiring his impact and personality, but noting the struggles and stagnation in recent years. He discusses the trajectory of fighters who party and gamble and how those choices affect longevity. Jake Paul's rise from outsider to legitimate boxer garners both respect and criticism. Ryan acknowledges Jake's courage and promotional prowess, but critiques the speed at which he tried to reach high-profile fights without the traditional boxing base. The Mayweather-Pacquiao saga is called ridiculous, reflecting skepticism about late-career money fights. Ryan emphasizes that his body is a temple and that what he fuels it with is just as important as the output. He has evolved from youthful invincibility toward discipline in nutrition and recovery. He talks candidly about the limits of youth and the humbling realities in wear. Regarding long-term brain health and risks like CTE, he admits some acceptance of potential consequences due to his faith and chosen path. He shares minor mental health struggles like anxiety and bipolar tendencies, but highlights the importance of dealing with emotional issues and self-awareness. Ryan reveals his obsessive nature about boxing, particularly analyzing opponents' patterns and perfecting techniques. He recounts a story where deep reflection on a sparring opponent's jab enabled him to prepare a successful counter within days. This obsession, while a double-edged sword, fuels his ability to innovate and adapt in the ring. He likens boxing's rhythm to music notes, sensitive to subtle changes. Embracing this passion for study and self-improvement has been key to his success and unique style in the sport. Living and training with his squad, Ryan values the support and companionship these relationships provide during intense training camps and life on the road. He discusses the detrimental effects of isolation and the importance of conversation, shared experiences, and having people to lean on. Comparing this to the touring lives of bands, comedians, and DJs, he argues that human connection is essential for mental health and success, countering the notion that being alone is a desirable or impressive state. Ryan recounts early experiences with wealth and how he quickly learned about the fleeting nature of money and the dangers of overspending and lifestyle inflation. He describes having to adjust expectations, avoid unchecked acquisition, and build a trustworthy team to protect him from financial missteps. Acknowledging the example of Mike Tyson's financial downfall, Ryan demonstrates a balanced attitude towards success, grateful to have learned lessons in his youth so he can sustain long-term stability and focus. A touching moment centers around Ryan's comments on the dangers of smartphone addiction and social media, describing how starting the day by mindlessly scrolling can ruin his mindset. He uses meditation and intentional decisions about phone use to protect his mental focus. The broader theme highlights how modern distractions undermine discipline and how cultivating awareness is a continual effort. This connects with his overall philosophy of intentional living and mental clarity. Throughout the conversation, Ryan repeatedly returns to his core fear, not fulfilling his potential. Driven by an unmistakable inner calling and conscious of time and limited opportunity, he is motivated to maximize his gifts and contributions, especially by following what he perceives as divine guidance. This sense of purpose underscores the entire discussion, shaping his mindset toward boxing, life challenges, and personal growth.